everyone, it's the Cake Lady. Just kidding, I'm not gonna make this entire vlog from behind my mask, but I am gonna do something a little different. It has nothing to do with cooking. One of the other hobbies that I like to do is sewing, and for the last couple weeks, maybe like you've been seeing people making these fabric masks or making them for themselves or for healthcare workers. I actually have a friend who, her husband oversees a lot of nursing homes in the area, and he's needing these for his employees. And so I, along with a whole lot of other people, have been making these and sending them to them. And I've been getting a lot of questions on Facebook about how to make them. What kind of material do I use? Where do I get my elastic? Because you really can't find elastic anymore. You know, how do you make them to where there's a pocket for a filter? So I want to answer those questions and kind of do a little tutorial on how to make these. I do have a pocket on mine that I'll talk about here in a little bit on making, so you can put a filter in if you have one or need to put one in. You could forego that part, but I just want to show you how I do that. I will link the tutorial that I use along with, I'll tell you my modifications for it, but I will put the tutorial down in the comment section, so definitely check that out. It's not something I came up with on my own, it's just something that I borrowed from a friend who posted it on Facebook, and it's helped me a lot. So let's get started sewing. Here is what you need to make these masks. This piece of fabric measures 8 feet wide, I'm not 8 feet wide, 8 inches wide, just kidding, 8 inches wide by 14 inches. And then these can go on the ends to give it a little bit of just decorative feature. I have made them with a corresponding color, but I've also made masks that have the same end as this fabric. So anyway, you can do whichever you like. I just happen to have a lot of this polka dot material that I thought looked really cute with the Minnie Mouse. Alright, so one piece is 8 by 14. Two pieces that are 2 by 6. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold them in half and then iron them in place. It makes it a lot easier if you do that all ahead of time. And then you need elastic. Now, elastic's been very hard for me to find, especially since like Hobby Lobby is closed. You can order it, but it's gonna not be here until like May if you go on Amazon. So what a friend of mine has done is she's been using these little hair ties. Now, the pattern or the tutorial calls for 6.5 inches of elastic. These measure out to about 6 inches. So if you want a little bit of extra length, because they do kind of sometimes pull a little bit tightly on your ears, what you can do, and I'm going to do here in a little bit, is instead of cutting 8 inches, you can make it about 8.5. That's going to make it a little bit wider. That's going to give you a little bit more room on each end. And so, in theory, it's not going to pull your ears that badly. Now, I will say I've done them a couple of different ways. I've made it with elastic because I had some on hand. Then when that ran out, started using the hair ties. And I was using this round hair tie, and it's super hard for me to sew with because it's hard to put a pin through to hold it into place. And then it just kind of rolls over. So I went to Dollar Tree today, and I found these that are flat. This is the kind that I got. Just, that's the brand Elastics, Salon Quality. But what I like about these, they're not round. I don't know if you can tell in this video. They're flat. They're the flat kind. So I'm hoping they will be much easier to sew. So you need 2 of these, 1 piece of your big material, 2 pieces of your small material. And that's what you need to make a mask. So what I'm going to do to allow for this pouch to hold a filter, what I'm going to do is I will turn it wrong side up, and I'm going to fold under just a little bit, like, what is that, maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, iron it, and then I'm going to fold it again and iron it flat. And here I've got one already done. This is what that looks like when I folded it. This way it's going to give me a nice clean edge for my pouch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sew down the middle on each side. And I like to kind of do these in an assembly line. So I'll cut out all my fabric, then I'll iron it all out, then I'll go and I'll sew. And it just kind of feels like, to me, it goes by a little faster. So I'm going to take this in there. I've already got it all folded. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. I have sewn down the middle of each side, or not quite middle, but sew down each side to where I have a nice finished edge. And I have I've folded my big piece of material in half to where the 8-inch side is at the top. Okay, and I've just used these little clips to go in about a couple of inches. I'm really bad at telling you like that might be an inch, not a couple inches, but just a little bit, to where you have like a nice closed end here and one here. And it's nothing precise. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but you want a good amount open in the middle. The first few times I made these, I didn't realize that I had put them like over here a little bit further, and it was really hard to get your hand into the pocket to put the filter in. So maybe just like an inch, over 1.5 inches on each side. I'm going to sew here, stop, skip, then come and sew the rest of it here. So now I have it turned right side out. Here is my pocket at the top now. I suppose you could go and top stitch along with this on your machine. I feel like that's an extra step, and I'm trying to get these kind of knocked out in a hurry so we can get these to people who need them. So I'm just kind of eliminating that step, but I'll show you how you can iron it to make a nice straight edge on the top here in a minute. Now this pocket part is not in that original tutorial. Also here in a moment I'm going to make the pleats, and in the original tutorial they have you measure out, and it got really confusing to me, so I just kind of eyeball the pleats as well. So it may not be precise, but you know what, I think they're going to appreciate them and use them even if they're not 100% perfect. All right, let's go make some pleats now. So I just ironed this fabric flat, and as you can see I have a nice straight edge here on the top. So you don't really have to top stitch it down. You can if you want. I just find that's an extra step. And like I said on the tutorial, they have you measure from the bottom, make your pleat, measure from that pleat, and I cannot get it right. So I just decided to eyeball it. And like I said, it might not be perfect, but you know, we're gonna just get it into the hands of the people who need it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here at the bottom, and I just kind of put my fingers under it, and I make, I don't know, like a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit further fold. And I want to make sure that I look on each end to make sure it's kind of the same width. And then I love these little binder clips, or not binder clips, I don't know what they're called, little clips. But you can also pin it, that's not a problem. So what I do is I fold, make my pleat, and then I iron it so that it kind of stays put. Okay. And you want to have 3 pleats. So there's 1 pleat, and then make the next one about the same size or a little bit smaller. So there's the second pleat. And again, these little clips are amazing, and I think quilters use them for different projects, but I find them a lot faster than pins, and you don't stick yourself with them like I do with pins. And then make the 3rd pleat, and you're gonna see like, wow, it's almost the whole entire mask are pleats. And that's okay, because when you wear the mask, the pleats kind of go away. Like that, and then also iron that. So my next step will be just to sew on each side to make sure that the pleats stay in place. I'm getting ready to sew the pleats into place, and like I said, I'm not really worried about precision. I just try to make my seam, what is that, probably like a 1/4 of an inch seam. Just try to make it equal on both sides, but really there's no rhyme or reason at this point. But I'm just going to sew a straight line down on this one, flip it over, and do the other side. Okay, so here we have my pleats sewn in place, and I will tell you, I was told I was doing this wrong earlier. I was told the pleats are not supposed to go up, they're supposed to go down. And so that can be simply fixed, because before I thought this was the front, but you can simply fix it by turning this and making where the pleats go down the front side. Okay, so this is when it's all said and done, this is what the front of your mask is going to look like. So what you want to do first is we're going to attach the elastic and the end pieces to the back. Okay, and so what I've been doing is I'll take my piece of elastic and I will pin it about 1/4 of an inch or so in from each side, just to make sure that it's kind of equal distance on both ends. And also you want to make sure you don't twist that. So I'm going to put this in place. These hair ties are a lot harder to push through than the elastic, but you know what? In a pinch, this works. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my end pieces here, and I'm going to let it overlap a little bit. I'm going to wrap it around, and I'll show you why we do that here in a minute. And again, with my little clips, I'm going to just clip it over here to the end to keep it in place. Whew. Now you're going to have, since you put the pleats in, this is going to be a lot longer. So I just kind of cut off a little bit there, so I don't have a ton to wrap around. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the other end. Like I said, I like to work in kind of an assembly line fashion, so I like to get all my stuff prepared to do the same thing a bunch of times. So I'm gonna again pin my elastic, and like I said, it's hard, especially when you're going through several layers of fabric and the elastic piece. Just be prepared, you're gonna probably break a couple of pins, but you know what, it's for a good cause. All right, I'm gonna wrap my end piece around. You want to get it kind of even with the top here. Wrap it there, kind of measure, cut off about that much, wrap it around, clip it into place. All right, we're ready to sew. So we are almost like one step away from having a finished mask. So I've got all this side sewn down, and so all I'm going to do here is flip this around. And I'm sorry for the camera work here. My camera person just left. All right, so you have it like flipped up now, and all you're going to do is fold it over on this edge here. Okay, and what I've been doing is just clipping this corner and this corner, just so I don't have a lot of bulk to sew through. But I'm going to fold it over and get it kind of straight, and then sew it down, and then I'll be done. Do that with both sides. Okay, I'm ready to sew this down. Now, a couple of things I've learned. I put this binder clip in, or I keep calling it a binder clip. Obviously, it's not a binder clip, but I put this clip here because sometimes as you're sewing, your pleats have a tendency to want to kind of open up, just because you're kind of maneuvering and stretching the fabric. And if they open up, then when you sew this down, they're not going to be nice and flat like this. So I kind of put one in the middle just so I can make sure my pleats don't stretch out or anything. But all you're going to do is just sew maybe a little bit inside this edge. As you sew, you want to make sure that your edge is straight, so your finished edge will look nice and straight. But sew this, sew that, and we are done. Here we go, we have a finished mask. Now, like I said, the pocket is not in that tutorial that I'm going to post in the comments. Also, I think for my next ones, after I use up all the material I've already cut out, instead of cutting it out as 8 inches wide, I'm going to probably do about 8.5 inches to take care of the difference that these hair ties make. Like I said, the tutorial calls for 6.5 inches of elastic, and these hair ties measure out to be about 6 inches, which kind of pulls on your ears a little bit. I'll show you here in a moment. But I think if you make it just a little bit wider, because the wideness is right here. This is the width, and your length is right here. So I think if you do that, then it's going to help with your pulling on the ears. I know a lot of people have been using headbands and sewing buttons on the headbands and attaching the elastic to that. That would probably be another option. I've seen paper clips being used to help lengthen them. There's a lot of different things out there. But this is what I've come up with, and it doesn't really take that long. And like I said, I like to get all my fabric cut out, get it all ironed, folded, and kind of do it in steps. And to me, the assembly line seems to go much faster. And it doesn't take a lot of fabric to make still. If you need more fabric and you live near a Walmart that has a fabric department, that's probably going to be your best bet right now if you still want to go out. If you don't want to go out, I know Joann's has it where you can order online and pick up curbside. Hobby Lobby in my town is closed, so I can't go there, and I don't think they're doing any online ordering. You could also go online to like fabric.com and order. I don't know what their shipping looks like right now, but those are some options. Another question I've been getting about the mask are, what do you use for a filter? So this is what I've been using. A friend of mine went to Joann's a couple weeks ago, back, you know, in the good old days when you could go to a store, and they told her that this was made for the filter for the masks. And so she bought a whole bolt, and I was able to get a couple of yards of this fabric from her. Now, I don't know what it is. To me, and to some other people I've talked to, it looks like maybe a pellon, like a sewable pellon material, which it could very well be. However, I feel like it's a one and done thing. Like, this is not reusable. The mask you can rewash, but the filters definitely cannot be washed in hot water. So probably just one and done. At the end of the day, throw this away, put your new one. The nice thing is you only need a 2x5 piece to fit into your filter, and you can make a lot of these out of just a little amount of material. Now, a couple weeks ago when I was at Hobby Lobby, they did say people were using the sewable pellon. They were also using muslin, which is, you know, has a little thicker, it's like a tighter weave, I guess, and so it probably will let less things in. So that is an option for your filter. I know a lot of people are getting creative, but this is what I've been using. So if I make them for friends or for people in the medical facilities, I will cut several of these so that they can use as needed. You could try to disinfect them or sanitize them in like rubbing alcohol, let them air dry. But this is a disclaimer. I don't know how that will work. I don't know if that will kill the germs. So you just take that with a grain of salt. But this is what I have been using. Like I said, I think it's a one and done thing. Use it once and throw it away. Okay, so I also wanted to address the length of these. Okay, like I said, I'm going to start making mine instead of 8 inches, about 8.5 inches, to compensate for the length of the elastic not being as long as what the pattern called for. Because as you can see, my ear, it's kind of bending my ear out a little bit. It's not terribly uncomfortable for me because I don't plan on wearing these unless I absolutely have to go to the store. Oh, but they're also very hot. But I can see, as if you're making them for healthcare workers, how it could be uncomfortable. I never tried them on really when I started using these hair ties, so I didn't realize that they were a little smaller. So from here on out, I'm going to be making them a little bit wider. Like I said, that 8-inch, I'm going to make them about 8.5. So hopefully that'll help me stretch and make them go a little bit further over here to accommodate for the shortness of the hair ties. I hope that makes sense. I appreciate you guys watching. If you're making these for healthcare workers, for your family, thank you so much for doing it. I know it's making a difference in people's lives. I think this is the first part of April. I think we're still going to be in this for a while, and I don't know. I feel like this is better than not having anything. Maybe I'm wrong, but for me, if this is something that the healthcare workers are wanting and they are asking for them, then I want to be able to do my part and help out when I can. So I hope you like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you have any questions on maybe something wasn't really clear in the tutorial. I've never made a sewing tutorial before, so I apologize if I didn't explain something correctly. Just put a comment or a question in the comment section. I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, go ahead and subscribe to it. Click the little bell so you can be notified on other videos. I do mainly do baking and cake decorating, cookie decorating videos, but every so often, you never know, I might throw a sewing tutorial in there as well. But from my kitchen and my sewing room to yours, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay home and stay safe.